As the world begins to come out of the other side of COVID-19 pandemic, the true ramifications are starting to come to light. Many people across the U.S. struggle to put food on the table and live paycheck to paycheck. This is especially true in Lubbock, Texas, which has a poverty rate of 19.8% with an exceptionally higher rate in Hispanics and African American. That's 3% higher than the state average and almost double the national average of 11.4% in 2020. After living in Lubbock for 19 years, I've seen the effects of poverty more and more as I've started attending Texas Tech and viewed these areas of deprivation, especially the north and east side of town. In this inquiry, I will investigate the causes of the financial disadvantage in Lubbock, how COVID-19 has affected these disparity rates, and what is being done to solve or alleviate the problem. Although many people experience poverty, there is hardly ever one root cause. The cause of poverty range from health problems, lack of resources, and limited income. In an interview with Bill Howerton, the newly announced Deputy City Manager of Lubbock, I discussed some of these causes of poverty while also addressing what is being done for those suffering. Hello?
Hey, bud. It's Bill again.
Hi, how are you doing, Bill?
I'm good, man.
Okay, so first question, I want to ask about your background and your position as a Deputy City Manager.
Okay, I started with the city in August of 1998, so I've been here just over 30 years. Started in the Community Development Department, and I became an Assistant City Manager in 2014, and then the Deputy City Manager in 2018.
About is the 18.9% rate of Lubbock County at the national poverty line, which is almost double the national average. And one of the significant contributors to the poverty rate is the unemployment rate in Lubbock, which is 5.8%. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you believe are some of the causes for the labor shortage, and what is the city of Lubbock doing, if anything, to get people back to work?
One of the major causes for the shortage is a lack of training in the technical skills. For example, we've got the home builders and all that are having a hard time finding folks to go out and do carpentry work. It's just, unless they're learning that in high school in one of the programs, it's just not being taught anymore. That's the major issue right now. You know that we also have a lot of, when you guys graduate, you want to go back home or go to the larger cities, and we do lose a lot of folks that way as well. So that all of that learning that you did goes back elsewhere, and that leaves a deficit for us.
Okay, and another major factor contributing to Lubbock's poverty rate is the impact of COVID-19. And I was wondering if you could tell me anything about programs or policies implemented by the city to help with COVID relief.
Yes, sir. As a deputy, I'm over the Community Development Department, the Health Department, and another one is City Bus. We've taken steps with City Bus to lower the cost for the rides on the buses. We've also implemented what's called a micro transit model, which is using the paratransit buses for short trips rather than having folks go on the big buses and do the routes themselves. So it's a lot better for time and all that, but it's a much cheaper route than if you go with the Lyft or some of the other providers that offer that kind of service. We've also got, we've received quite a bit of state and federal funding in the Community Development Department that's focused on rental assistance, utility assistance, mortgage assistance as well.
Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about is when you add the Alice category with the poverty rate, it's almost 50% of the Lubbock population. And I wanted to ask, is there anything being done for low-wage workers to help ends meet and put food on the table?
And we try to work with all of our nonprofits to put in place programs that will help. The programs that I just mentioned are there specifically for those folks that are having a hard time making ends meet. And that's talking about the mortgage, the rental, and the utility assistance. Our goal is to keep those guys as close to normal as possible with their bills. If they can't make all of them, we'll assist them with that. That allows them to stay in their homes and do what they need to do to find employment.
Okay, and finally, a side effect of poverty is often homelessness. And according to the 211 for Lubbock County, 23.2% of people requested housing and shelter assistance between April 2020 and April 2021. And I wanted to see what was being done and what are the goals of the city of Lubbock to help with the homeless problem.
We've got, in the Community Development Department, we receive a grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, called the Emergency Solutions Grant. Through that money, we go out and assist the nonprofits that work with the homeless population on a daily basis, just a couple of examples. We do Salvation Army. We also assist Family Promise and a couple of others here in town. But that's something that goes on every year. We have gotten additional ESG dollars, and we're using some of our CDBG dollars as well for the rental assistance and utility assistance and those types of programs that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much, Bill.
All right, take care, bud.
You too. However, it is not only the responsibility of our city officials to try and alleviate poverty. It will take nonprofits, organizations, food banks, and the whole Lubbock community to turn around our poverty rate. One such nonprofit organization that I visited is Open Door Lubbock. Open Door Lubbock is a nonprofit Christian organization that attempts to solve the problem of generational poverty and homelessness by providing resources to the community and tackling other issues in the Lubbock community.
Okay, cool. Let's start with just an introduction of yourself and kind of a background of who you are.
Sure. So my name is Andrea, Andrea. Last name is Omojola, Omojola. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Open Door. And I have been here now for 3 years. I moved to Lubbock to work for Open Door, and it's been a great experience for me. I am the person who's responsible for, basically, I am a servant to our directors, but I make sure that they get everything that they need. And I work alongside of our Chief Executive Officer to make this place run smoothly as much as possible where I am needed.
Okay, so next question is basically, what is the mission and vision of Open Door Lubbock?
So we exist in order to help those who are experiencing poverty, as well as chronic homelessness, and also survivors of sex trafficking and their families. So we serve a big range of people, and that allows us to really dig into the issues of poverty here in Lubbock in particular. We started out as a church, and so we have our faith-based organization. We still do operate a church, and in addition to, like, as a part of our 501c3, and there are multiple arms, so to speak, to this organization. Ultimately, we have a tagline that says that we want to see people live, thrive, and belong. And so we do everything we can, from providing housing to some of those who are the most vulnerable, to really just handing out, playing dominoes with someone, or handing out a cup of coffee. Like, even the basics of just relationship and connection are super important to us.
All right, next question is, what resources do you provide for poverty and homelessness and other such issues in Lubbock?
We have one housing program that is designed specifically to help those who are what is considered chronically homeless. And what that definition is defined by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And it means that if somebody has at least a year of homelessness in their life, and especially more recently, and then they also have to have another diagnosis of some sort, whether it is a mental health, substance abuse, or physical health diagnosis. And those things qualify them to be able to be housed through our permanent supportive housing program. That program specifically is designed to have low barrier and to be like virtually no barrier, with the exception of just being able to qualify in that category. And it is a housing first model, which means that we think that you should give someone a home without conditions. So we think the solution to homelessness is a home, period. And that the other societal issues that need to be fixed, or the other challenges that people are experiencing, those come in time and with relationship. And so we put somebody in a house, and then we work on building relationship with them so that they can make some choices that might be different, like maybe getting better health care, getting connected with a primary care physician, taking their medication if they have mental health needs, doing things like going to recovery programs and getting a job if that's something that they're even able to do, or securing resources for them that will allow them to live a little bit more independently if they're not able to work, like if they're disabled or something like that, being able to have those kinds of resources come their way. So that's one piece of what we do. And then in our community center, we have is a day drop-in center. It's open generally like from basically 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. right now, or 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there is a place for anybody can come, but we really want to focus on anybody who is experiencing poverty and also needs connection with people, and typically those who are without homes or did not sleep in a home the previous night. And so we come in, we serve breakfast every morning. We have a place for people to take free showers. People can use our address for applications and as their own mailing address, which is important because for those people who might not necessarily need our level of housing, but need just a little bit of help in order to get to the next level themselves, or the next step themselves, they need a place to be able to say is their home. And so we provide that space of home. It's also a place to be sheltered from the elements and stuff during the day, but we are not an overnight shelter at all in that sense, in the typical sense. So people can come in, charge their phones, get on the internet. We have some laptops. They can access applications. We can help them to apply for benefits, We also pay for vital records like your birth certificate, your ID, your driver's license, to help you if you need to, because you're going to need that to get a job, you're going to need that to get a house, you're going to need that for a lot of different things, right? And so we do that. We also have church, so that we're providing some spiritual support to people as well, and making sure that they have more than just the services being provided, because we think that there's a lot of places and people who provide services excellently. We want to provide services, but we want that to be coupled with relationship, and we want people to feel like, no, that's my family, that's my community, that's my neighbor, and not just, oh, that's the person who gave me hygiene or whatever. So we do give out hygiene and stuff like that as well every day. We also have a program that supports those who are survivors of sex trafficking and their families. And that program helps people who are in transition. Maybe they just coming out of jail, they're on probation, maybe they have been out for a while, maybe they have been out of the trafficking scene for a while even, but we want to provide an opportunity for them to get some healing. So we provide counseling services, we provide tangible needs like groceries and all the other good stuff, and of course a place to stay for that program as well. That's a program that is just 18 months, whereas our other program, it's intended to be for a lifetime. It's intended to will be there as long as they want, and we provide wraparound services to anybody in our housing programs. So case managers that are licensed social workers, as well as people with lived experience, helping to support them in what they're going through, and that's what we do.
Okay, my final question is, how has COVID-19 impacted your service, and what challenges have you faced?
So the population of individuals that we get to serve is among the vulnerable, most vulnerable in our community, for sure, and across this nation. These are people who don't have access to healthcare, don't have access to standard care to even shield themselves from getting COVID-19 or anything else for that matter in some ways. And so when this disease came and impacted the world, we went on super high alert, and we were able to, with some emergency funds, we were able to stay open longer, and we were able to coordinate with people at the Salvation Army and some other local agencies to ensure that every person had a place to shelter in place where they could be safe as possible. And we still couldn't have people here overnight because we're not licensed to do an overnight shelter, but we could at least say, okay, well, if you can go to Salvation Army, or if you can go to Grace Campus, or if you can go to Family Promise or any of the other agencies that help people, or if you have family, then please do. But if you can't, we want the person who's the most vulnerable, who doesn't have anything else, and this is the place for you to come, because they've closed the library, so you can't go there during the day. The shops are not open. You can't kind of wander around and just kind of be through life. And so we provided a lot of safety in that time and in that season, but it changed some of the things that we had to do. So we were all about relationship and hugs and high fives and, really connecting with people. But COVID, obviously the 6 foot distance and masks and all that kind of stuff changes how we connect with people, right? So that's been the biggest impact over our population, both those people who are in our housing program as well as those people who are not, is the ability for us to be like authentically who Open Door is as a relationship-based organization has been, it's been challenged. It hasn't been compromised. It's still going, all that kind of stuff. But it's been a challenge to definitely make sure that we are still connecting with people, that they still know we're here for them, even though we can't, in some cases, actually be physically here. I'll give you the example of our Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations. We normally do it up. We have a big family dinner, and we all get in the community center, and we all, I prepare food, we bring food, and we ask people who are part of our community to participate in that. We have some of the homes that we own here where some of the people in our programs are, we get all of their ovens going, and we've got turkeys and hams in all of them, and we've got turkeys and hams in here, in our kitchen in here, and all over the place, and doing all the things. And then we all sit around in a big huge room and eat together. And we don't really do like a service style of eating. We're not a buffet per se. That's just not who we are. We want to sit down, we want to talk, we want to chop it up a little bit. And so that was not possible, right? So we had to make some adjustments, we had to make some changes. People who had homes were not allowed to come to the community center during those times. It was just people who didn't have a place to go otherwise. And so I think the relationship side of things is the biggest impact. Because we were so strict about things and working in partnership with the Salvation Army and the other folks, I think that helped us to limit the amount of known spread of COVID through our population. And we had very limited exposure as a result of that. We started wearing masks before the city even started to hint at telling people that we're going to, because we knew that if one person gets sick here, that's a whole lot of people who are going to go down and probably aren't going to bounce back from it. If you or I, or somebody who has access to healthcare in a really or preventative care and is healthy, were to contract this disease, it's already hard enough, but we probably could bounce back from it. But these are folks that their health is already compromised. They're already in a bad situation. And so if they were to get sick, it makes me shudder to think of how many people we could have lost in this season.
So even though only 19.8% of people in Lubbock suffer from poverty, it will take 100% of us to fix the problem. It will take compassion, sympathy, and especially eliminating the stigma and stereotypes around those suffering from poverty. You can help today by calling your local and national representatives or donating and volunteering at nonprofits in your community.